is Felienne Hermans. I'm associate professor at Leiden University. In this video, I'm going to introduce spreadsheets to you. And you might wonder, spreadsheets, why are we still talking about spreadsheets in 2019? Shouldn't everything be software? Well, many companies still use spreadsheets for financial reporting. So what happens in many companies is spreadsheets sort of live around the software system where people export their data to a spreadsheet, do data analysis, and then sometimes also feed this data back into the system. What people often underestimate is how long spreadsheets can stay alive. Our research has shown that spreadsheets stay alive for an average of 5 years and are used by an average of 12 people. So a spreadsheet that you build, maybe you're building it really just for you. You are just interested in this report, you download some data, you do some analysis, but then there's someone sitting next to you and they say, oh, that's a nice report, could I use it? And you're, oh sure, I'll email it to you. And in that way, spreadsheets sort of have a life of their own. And you can imagine that this is a situation that leads to problems. If spreadsheets are used in many places, they're very important, people use them to base decisions on, then things can go wrong. And there is a European spreadsheet risk interest group, USPREAK, and they collect spreadsheet horror stories. And they have some interesting examples. For example, when we had the Olympic Games in Great Britain, one of the spreadsheets was used to calculate how much tickets to sell, and there was a mistake in this, and that caused one of the stadiums to be overbooked by 10,000 tickets. So it was not really money loss, but it's a bit embarrassing because people had to exchange their tickets for another day because they just added an extra zero accidentally. But there are worse examples. There was a Canadian power company called TransAlta. They made a copy-paste mistake in their spreadsheet, and that caused a loss of $24 million. So these numbers are starting to get serious. And then you might wonder, well, if spreadsheets are so risky, then why do we still use them? So we talked about that a little bit because spreadsheets are so flexible and it's so nice to be able to build your own things. Often people get some sort of pride from building their own models, and that's good. That's very empowering to be able to get insight into your own data. So we're definitely not saying stop using spreadsheets. Spreadsheets are good. However, you should be aware of the risk. Because people that are software designers, they are trained for designing software. People often have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, so they went to school for 4 or 5 years to learn how to design software. Whereas spreadsheets, no one really took a course on that in university, let alone 5 years of courses. Very often people think, oh, you know, I know how to do a sum and an if, so sure, I can do this model. And then gradually they build up their knowledge. However, they don't always know everything. We run into people that maybe they don't know what a pivot table is, and you show them, or like, oh, this is so useful, I wish I would have known this years ago. So training is very important to make sure that people are not at the level of a professional developer, but at least approaching towards the level of a software developer. Because in a sense, if you're designing spreadsheets, especially if they're used by many people in your organization, you are a little bit like a software designer. So you should get some training. So training is very important. And the second thing that's very important is tooling. So we can say, hey, here's our entire spreadsheet. This is how it looks like visually. We really looked very well at what software development does, and we tried to develop tools that do the same thing. Visualize everything, but also say these parts of the spreadsheets are a little bit risky. So if you think of these things, document your spreadsheets well, use tools to analyze the structure, and get training to be able to know everything that Excel can do, then spreadsheets actually are a very good and powerful idea. And in the rest of this training, experts from all over the world are going to help you to learn more about spreadsheets.